People don't fail loudly, they fail through small, respectable excuses that nobody questions. I'm tired today, I'll do it properly tomorrow. This week has been rough, each excuse sounds reasonable, that's why it's dangerous. Consistency is not destroyed by chaos, it's destroyed by comfort that feels justified. Most people believe inconsistency is a time problem, that if they had more energy, more freedom, more motivation, they'd show up differently. That's a lie the mind tells itself to protect its self-image. The real issue is not lack of energy. It's lack of internal authority. When you don't respect your own commands, your actions become negotiable. And once something is negotiable, comfort always wins. This is where consistency begins to expose people, because consistency doesn't demand heroism. It demands obedience, not obedience to rules, obedience to your own decisions. Most people have never trained that muscle. They are used to reacting, not committing. They respond to pressure, not principles. So when no one is watching, when no deadline is screaming, when no punishment is waiting, they drift. The drifting feels harmless at first. You skip a day, nothing breaks. You delay a task, life continues. The mind records this quietly. It learns that your words carry no consequences. Over time, this creates a hierarchy inside you. Your impulses start outranking your intentions. Your mood starts overruling your plans. That's when people start searching for motivation. They think motivation will fix the problem. But motivation is not power. It's borrowed energy, and borrowed energy always runs out. People who rely on motivation are people who don't trust themselves to act without emotional pressure. Consistency is the opposite. It removes emotion from the equation. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what was decided. This is where ego starts resisting, because the ego wants freedom but not structure. It wants results but not repetition. It wants identity but not humility. Consistency humiliates the ego in the beginning. You do the same thing again and again and again. No praise, no visible progress, no signal that you're special. To the ego, this feels insulting. It whispers, "Why are you still here? Others are moving faster. You should be doing something bigger." That voice has nothing to do with intelligence. It's fear of becoming ordinary. Most people quit at this stage not because the work is hard, but because the work feels small. They want acceleration without accumulation, so they restart. New routine, new plan, new identity. Restarting feels powerful because it resets the ego, but restarting is avoidance. It's the mind refusing to sit inside boredom long enough for depth to form. Consistency forces you to stay. Stay when progress is invisible. Stay when effort feels repetitive. Stay when fantasy dies and only process remains. That's why consistency acts like a filter. Only people willing to feel unremarkable survive it. And those people don't feel strong. They feel patient. Patience is misunderstood. It's not waiting, it's controlled endurance. It's the ability to repeat behavior without needing emotional reward. This is where consistency starts rebuilding internal authority. Not loudly, quietly. You show up even when it's inconvenient. You complete tasks even when no one notices. You keep promises even when breaking them would cost nothing. Your nervous system registers this. Slowly, it starts trusting you again. That trust changes everything. You stop overthinking simple decisions. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop seeking permission to act. Consistency removes internal debate, and internal debate is what drains most people. They don't lack discipline, they lack closure. Every unfinished promise stays open in the mind. Every skipped action adds mental noise. Consistency closes loops, one action at a time. This is why consistent people appear calmer, not because life is easier for them, but because their inner environment is stable. At work, this stability shows up subtly. You don't rush, you don't over-explain, you don't react emotionally to small problems. People start relying on you. Reliability is not glamorous, but it's powerful. Systems depend on what doesn't fluctuate. Inconsistent people create friction. They need reminders. They need management. Consistent people reduce friction, and anything that reduces friction gains leverage over time. That's why consistent people gain influence without asking for it. Their absence is felt, their word is trusted, their presence stabilizes environments. But this also creates social tension. When you stop quitting, you stop fitting perfectly. Your friends notice you don't complain the same way. Your family notices you don't react the same way. Your circle notices you're harder to pull off track, so they test you. Not consciously, instinctively. They joke about your seriousness. They question your discipline. They minimize your effort, not because they hate you, because your consistency forces comparison, and comparison creates discomfort. If you are not internally solid, you'll collapse here. You'll skip days to avoid being different. You'll dilute standards to remain familiar. You'll trade long-term authority for short-term belonging. This is the trade most people make. Consistency demands refusal, not verbal refusal, behavioral refusal. You don't argue, you don't justify, you don't announce, you continue. That continuation slowly reshapes identity. At some point, consistency stops feeling like effort, not because it's easy, but because it's no longer optional. The decision has already been made. This is the real freedom people misunderstand. Freedom doesn't come from infinite choice. It comes from removing unnecessary choice. When standards are fixed, energy returns. Most people are exhausted because they decide the same things every day. Should I do this? Should I skip today? Should I rest more? Consistency ends that conversation. And when that conversation ends, progress becomes automatic, not fast, not dramatic, but steady. And steady progress creates something rare: inevitability. Intensity burns out. Inevitability outlasts. Eventually, you reach a quiet realization. You're no longer trying to be disciplined. You're no longer chasing motivation. You simply act. Your emotions don't lead. Your routines do. Your identity stabilizes. And that stability makes you dangerous in a calm way. You don't panic under pressure. You don't romanticize shortcuts. You don't collapse when results are delayed, because you've already proven something to yourself. You can be trusted. That internal trust is rare. And once you have it, you stop chasing external validation. You don't need it. Consistency has already done the work, and one day, without announcement, you'll notice something uncomfortable. People who once felt ahead of you are still restarting, still planning, still talking, while you've moved forward quietly. Not because you were special, but because you stayed. Consistency didn't make you exciting. It made you inevitable.